Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. We have the responsibility to open these breakthrough interactions here in DPW2021. I'm Adriano Garibotto. I'm the Chief Sales Officer here in Practice. And with me is Sergio Debot. Please, Sergio.
Yes, hello everybody. So I'm Sergio Debot. I'm actually Global Procurement Director at AB InBev for CapEx and MRO. So buying the industrial equipment for the company.
So the today's session that we want to show you is about this so-called dilemma between the end-to-end single suite or best-of-breed solution. But this is the real dilemma a CPO has to face because today there is an evolution where these single suites, end-to-end suites are opening themselves as a platform incorporating best of breed. So there is a mixed situation, but it's the real problem there. So if you take the Deloitte Global CPO survey in the last 4 years, the main problem that all the CPOs are always facing as a first problem is quality of the data. The quality of the data in the procurement processes is so poor that any kind of selection about the platform you may use can go wrong and can not meet the expectation and the result you are expecting from them if you have the wrong data inside. And so this is the main concern. So before making any decision regarding the platform you may use, you need to take care about the quality of the data, because this is the crucial enabler factor to get the result you are expecting for your digitization revolution in your procurement processes. Because all the activities, all the business initiatives that you can drive in about cost optimization, strategic source, inventory management, or take advantages from merger and acquisition synergies are based on the data quality. Otherwise, it's impossible to get the result you are expecting. But what that means, data quality in procurement? We maintain that data quality in procurement is all about categorization and enrichment of the current data you have and the future data you may produce inside of your platform. And categorization means categorize granularly the things. So many times what you have is the yellow part of the story, where things that are equal between them, even written in different ways, coming from different purchase order, both from different suppliers, are really the same thing, so the green part of the story. And you need to know that, because otherwise it's impossible to bundle things to create golden records in your master data or to get better prices from your suppliers. But it's not only about the possibility to put apples with apples, so granular categorization. It's also about identification of the item, because only when you identify an item, you are able also to compare prices, to trace evolution, and to get better conditions as service level agreement with your providers, and so on and so forth. Or, for example, identify duplicates item inside your stocks. So how you can identify things like circuit breakers or pumps, etc. Well, one of the elements are the brand and codes that most of the time are present inside of the descriptions, and are the possibility to capture this information is the possibility to identify. So you can have a very cryptic material description like this one, and artificial intelligence in this case can support you to identify this one like a signal cable. But this artificial intelligence can do more by capturing the code of the producer and the part numbers of the producer and the name of the producer, and can normalize it, and then you can use later on to aggregate based on these keywords and on these key elements. And this could be the same for other things that are following rules like norms and measures. So, for example, this is a socket screw, but the system based on artificial intelligence can understand that belongs to a specific DIN norm, and the measures that are written there in an unstructured way are really a diameter, a length, and a resistance class. And you can get more because an artificial intelligence system can also provide you normalized descriptions starting from these elements that has been captured. So from an original description like this one, that is very hard to understand, you can get a more understandable description like this, or also a long description like this, and you can get more transparency in all the processes you are managing in your platform. This is all about the quality in the procurement process. And I want to pass the word here to Serge to explain why this element has been an enabler factor in the process he will show you.
All right, thanks, Adriano. So I will actually start building on your first slide, right? That was saying that one of the biggest issue is the lack of data quality and the lack of data integration. The reason is because this is really what we experience at ABI, right? At AB InBev, because you know and this was actually like making our life difficult in the management of our spare parts sourcing, our spare part management in general, and our spare parts inventories. The reason why we have lack of data quality and lack of data integration is because AB InBev is a patchwork of companies that came together by internal growth and merging and acquisition. So in each part of that patchwork came and joined the company with its own part of the complexity. Today we have 250 plants worldwide, right? And that corresponds to around 1,000 packaging lines. It's actually a very simple footprint because most of those plants are breweries or soft drink plants. So it's the same type of equipment, but from different suppliers and different origins, but the same type of equipment. Now, our spare parts database is complex because of internal factors, right? As I said, created by different parts of the patchwork, high number of reference that were created by people in the plants, right? With a very low governance at the beginning. And then today we have a very strong governance, and but we have low adherence to that governance. So that's polluting our database. There's also external reasons why the database is polluted or the database is complicated. It's because we have a lot of suppliers from different countries, different origins, and our equipment suppliers are actually managing that complexity because they like us to buy from them instead of buying the spare parts or the components from the market. So we did in the past different projects to clean that database, to have better visibility and better standardization of the database across the zones, across the breweries, but we actually failed because we couldn't keep the momentum. And so that's how at a certain moment we came to the decision, okay, we need a tool to help us drive that cleansing project. And we need artificial intelligence or machine learning to help us, because doing it with data stewards or with a data organization with people will never happen. And so we decided to drive this project here in Europe last year and the year before. So to pilot it, right? And we started there with master data governance and spare part inventory cleansing. So if you look at Europe for ABI, it's actually plants in the UK, in Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and plants in Ukraine and Russia. That's 32 plants. We're talking about spare parts inventory around 370,000 items and 5 languages, right? We're talking about English, German, Ukrainian, Russian, and Dutch. We have 2 small breweries in Spain, but we didn't add Spanish here at this stage of the project. So now the challenges that we had was the ones that I was mentioning, right? Low adherence to the master data governance. The internal taxonomy was not fully used. A lot of people are actually introducing parts in the system with free text So we were not pushing the discipline enough to say, guys, don't use the free text. You need to put the right references according to our taxonomy. And then you, as I was mentioning, high level of pollution created by the suppliers. And if you look in that top-bottom template, you see that there's a lot of categorization. At the beginning, we had a lot of categorization errors, like in some of our big plants, like Bremen Mager, we were like almost 70% of errors in the categorization. So that was the beginning of the project. I'm just going to talk in the next slide, if you can go to the next slide, Adriano, about the taxonomy. So push once more. Our taxonomy for parts or components in the company are based on a 4-level taxonomy. If I take spare parts, but that's applicable to raw materials, packaging materials, even final products, right? So if I take spare parts, it's actually category 10. Those spare parts can be different items, right? You have transmission, pneumatic, motors, things like that. For transmission, it's 0-1, and then within transmission, you can have bearings, conveyor chains, motors. So bearings correspond to 0-1 again, and then within the bearings, you have different levels, right? And a ball bearing, for example, will be that number that you see in the level 4 category. So that's how it's organized. So if you click once more, you see here the starting point of the project in Europe. We had like 42% of the database was at level 2 or lower. Right, so you see that there was not a lot of disciplines from the people feeding the database to follow the taxonomy and to actually fill the information all the way to level 4 that allows, right, the very strong categorization. And even like this, you had 42% at level 2, but some of them were at the wrong level 2, so very high pollution. And we tried to fix that several times, didn't work, right, with when you do it with data stewards, with a, I would say, human organization. Now, if you put the machine learning tool, and that's the project that we piloted last year in Europe, if you click to the next slide, there you go. So in last year, we did the project with Creactive in Europe, and we brought, by that cleansing, we were able to bring the 98% of the database to level 4 or 3. And that's actually opening up a lot of visibility and allowing us to, after that, manage better our spare parts, right? And also source better our spare parts. And so once we did this in Europe, the next decision was to say, okay, now we piloted in Europe, it works. And for the moment, we're actually rolling out this project to our 5 other zones, right? So that's North America, Middle America, South America, Africa, and APAC. And here we're actually, first of all, rolling out to 5 zones, and we're actually including in the project the SAP integration, right? And of course, because it's 5 additional zones, we're going to one level up with the complexity. We have 11 ERPs in total that we need to integrate and make the database of each of those ERPs talk together. The data we're adding to the 370,000 materials that I was showing, we're going now to 2.5 plus the 370, so we'll be around 3 million items, and we're adding 4 languages, right? Portuguese, Spanish for Latin America, Chinese and Korean for our colleagues in APAC. If you go to the next slide, Adriano. So the challenges are similar, right? Again, low adherence to the master data governance. The internal taxonomy was not fully used. A lot of parts created with free text in foreign languages. And then the pollution created by the supplier. And then we didn't have that cross-zone mapping, right? If I have a bearing in Africa, I actually don't know what's the corresponding bearing in Middle America, North America, and Europe. So we don't have that cross-zone mapping. And we're implementing the projects that we've done in Europe actually by still preserving the historical data that each of the zones have individually. So we want to keep that because our colleagues are used to work on with that previous data, so they don't want to lose it. So then the success, and here, you know, what I think I'm going back also to the benefits that Adriano was mentioning in his third slide, right? So better efficiency and productivity, company-wide harmonization, and then we have better decision-making and better management of our inventories, right? So here, with the tool, we're able to reinforce the governance, because that governance is driven by the platform. So we're not counting on data stewards that might have a different understanding of the governance if they are in APAC or Latin America or Europe. Maybe that understanding is different. Now the platform is forcing that governance. It's also helping us to create less duplicates, because the system helps us to identify duplicates as of the moment of the creation of new material. And by doing that, we actually create much less material. So, and then increasing the visibility on the category allows us to make now worldwide tenders, which we could not do in the past. And that allows us to do cost reduction, because we can add supplier. We can transfer spare parts from zone to zone. If I have a specific bearing, for example, in one plant in Vladivostok, and I need that bearing in Harbin, actually, before the project, I'm not able to see that I have a bearing available in Vladivostok, and my plant in Harbin is not able to see that. Now, with the project, this will be totally transparent, and people will see it directly. And this will also help us reduce our inventory, because, you know, I mentioned we have 250 plants worldwide with 1 to 2 million inventory per plant. So our total inventory in spare parts is very high. So we're going to have opportunities now with this project, creating opportunities to reduce our inventories. Right, so that's what I had to say here, right? So how the tool is helping us to manage our spare parts. I think we might have some questions on the system.
I suppose that many people are asking things, so I can stop sharing my screen, I suppose. Okay. So there are questions on the chat. So there is a question from Mohit. I don't know if I'm if I'm saying correctly, but there's another question from Giuseppe Bryant, or Serge specifically. Maybe Serge, you can take this question from Giuseppe Bryant.
Yes, so I would say the tools to manage our MRO spare parts, right? It's actually, we have our SAP, right? And but what we're introducing now is, you know, in the past when we were buying equipment from our suppliers, we were actually asking them for performance, defining a little bit the layout, but most of the technical components of the machines were actually defined by our suppliers. So now we're changing that. We are developing global technical specifications within AB InBev. And these technical specifications will help us dictate to our suppliers, okay, we want those components from, I saw Siemens in your slides, Adriano. We want those components from Siemens. We want those components from Rockwell, those components from Spirex. And this will be of course, uploaded on our platforms of SAP and all our technical platforms. But that's really what will help us manage our spare parts, because we're going, instead of just getting the components, building the machines from our suppliers, we're going to start telling our suppliers the dictate and decide which components we want. So that will help us in the future to better control that. I hope this is actually answering the question.
There is a question about the change management issue, because obviously you always can introduce a system.
I think Adriano was kicked out of the platform. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to carry on. I see a question from Camille Leroy. So how we, the taxonomy, right? So the taxonomy that we are putting in place in our system is actually defined internally. So we're using the international taxonomy, but we are building our own system. So we have our VBS taxonomy. And this is actually how we build the taxonomy of all our, not only on spare parts, also on raw materials, work in process, commercial materials, final products are defined by that internal category. I think, and we're using, instead of using that international, right, UNP taxonomy, we're actually using the one that we think makes more sense for a company like ABI, which is very specific on one category, which is beer and beverage. Hey, welcome back, Adriano. I actually answered the question from Camille Leroy. So you,
hello,
and then you were kicked out. Yeah, we can hear you.
I have a problem of connection, evidently. I'm sorry for that.
We can,
I don't know if
we can hear you, Adriano.
have a connection problem.
We can hear you. Okay. Carrying on.
Hello?
Yes, Adriano. Adriano, we can hear you. You can speak. We can hear you. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, I'm back.
Hi, Adriano.
Sorry for this. It was a completely unexpected situation where my line fall down. So I don't know where we were. I was trying to pose the question about the impact on the change management situation from your point of view, Serge. I don't know if you have had the time to answer to that. Sorry, but maybe you can update me about if it really happens or not.
No,
or we can take another question.
I answered the question from Camille. So on change management, Adriano, I think on our side, I think the change is really necessary because if the company gets bigger and bigger, we need to have more systems to help us do the management of our spare parts, but our supply or our purchases. So we need to go more and more to electronic tools that help the people doing the work. Because the complexity is increasing. The only way we can manage the complexity is by having better tools and tools that actually correspond to our needs, right? So that's why we're implementing SAP, we're implementing Ariba, we're using artificial intelligence in many of the categories. So hopefully this answers the question. Okay, and just checking here any of the questions. I think we're at the end of the session here, but
I don't hear Serge. I don't know why.
Just answering a last question, Marcus, I read your question, right? Interesting session, but
I'm sorry, this is inconvenient. I don't know if you can hear me, but this is happen always in this situation. So I don't know if you can hear me, the audience can hear me.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can say, I hope that I'm not superposing my voice on the voice of Serge. That all the questions that are arriving will be answered after the session, and you will receive, all the attendants will receive also an ebook, a white paper regarding the topics we have treated today. So you can go through this white paper regarding that if the data quality is bad, it's not your fault. You can take action and you can solve the problem. Sorry for the situation, and I would thank you everybody to have joined this session, and hopefully has been interested for all of you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Adriano. Thanks, everybody. You can, as Adriano was saying, you can still submit your question afterwards, and we will answer them. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the event, the rest of the event. Thank you. Bye-bye.